Chapter 7 Blood, Chocolate and a Heart of Steel. Winter had settled like a heavy blanket over the front line. The snow lay dirty and patchy between the trenches. The trees stood like charred skeletons in the distance, and the sky was an endless gray roof that never seemed to move. Hunter sat huddled in his uniform, his rifle on his knee, his fingers cold despite his gloves. He had slept no more than 2 hours in 3 days. His face bore traces of both mud and sorrow. He had seen young men screaming, dying, bleeding out in the snow. He had shot several times. He no longer knew how many. It felt as if his soul was withering away, a little with each bullet. But then, one morning when the gunfire had stopped and the fighting had paused, lunch came. It wasn't much, a can of cold soup, a piece of bread that crumbled in his hand, but someone, an older soldier from Smaland, had brought out something special. Chocolate, guys. Real chocolate. Laughter was heard for the first time in days. Hunter accepted a box, let it melt slowly on his tongue. It reminded him of Elvira's birthday 2 years ago. She had baked a chocolate cake with raspberry cream. He closed his eyes, wanted to go back, wanted to go home. Hunter, he started. The voice was familiar. Too familiar. He turned around. There he stood. Dirty, bearded, with snow on his shoulders and a big smile all over his face. Eric, Hunter Carlson, you're alive. They hugged each other tightly. Almost shocked, Eric Hansen, the classmate from high school in Hagans, the tall guy with curly hair and a penchant for bad jokes, stood there, in the flesh. I didn't think you were drafted, Hunter said. You studied law, right? Yes, but when the Germans entered Norway, reservists were called up. I went up to Boden, then we were sent here. Where are you stationed? Here, with you, same company, apparently. They sat down together, shared bread and talked quietly. About school days, about old teachers, about girls they had been in love with. Hunter told them about Elvira, about the New Year's kiss, about the promise on the cliff. Sounds like you found the right one, Eric said. I know I did. They laughed. It was an attempt to feel something other than death. In the distance, artillery fire could be heard. But right there, in the trench, it was almost warm. Almost like life could start over, until, 15 minutes later the sound came back. A whistle, a roar, then the order, enemy attack. In position, Hunter threw himself down behind a sandbag. Eric next to him loaded his weapon. Bullets began to whine. German soldiers stormed through the snow like ghosts with rifles, screams, bangs, grenades, panic. Hunter shot. Twice. A German fell. He saw blood spurting across the ice. He wanted to vomit but continued. Eric shouted commands. A grenade exploded a dozen meters away. The snow whirled up. Everyone was thrown over. They got up again. Hunter ducked, saw his friend moving forward. We have to go back, Eric shouted, but they didn't have time. A German soldier, dark in the eyes, with dirty cheeks and holes in his coat, suddenly stood up over a rock. He threw something, a hand grenade. Time froze. Hunter saw it. It spun slowly in the air. It landed in the middle of the group, rolled a couple of centimeters. Everyone stopped. No sound. Just their hearts pounding. Hunter stood paralyzed. Eric saw it. He saw that the others didn't have time to react, that no one moved. And without hesitation, not for a moment, Eric threw himself at the grenade. No, Eric landed on the grenade. Arms around it, face down on the ground. A second, an eternity. The explosion came like a sinkhole in the world. A wave of smoke, fire, metal. Everyone was thrown backwards. Hunter hit his head on a pole and lost consciousness for a few seconds. When he woke up, everything was quiet. It was snowing again. Small, calm flakes as if nature didn't understand what had just happened. And there, in a bloody heap, lay Eric, dead. His back was blown away. His arms lay lifeless, his face still turned to the ground. Hunter crawled forward, survived, shaken. He put his hand on Eric's shoulder, shook it. No answer. Eric, why? No tears came at first. Just emptiness, shock, but after a few minutes it broke. He screamed, cried, his whole body shook. The other soldiers gathered around, silent. Someone held a blanket over him. No one said anything. Eric had saved them all. 2 weeks later, Hunter was given leave. His body was whole, almost. But his soul, his heart, everything else was broken. When the train stopped in Helsingborg, it was raining. He got off with his bag in his hand and his eyes on the ground. Elvira was standing there, in a blue coat, with red eyes and trembling lips. They ran towards each other. He dropped the bag. She threw herself into his arms. "You're alive, you're alive, I'm alive." But he cried, in her arms, saw her face, and knew what he had to say. Eric died. Elvira froze. "What do you mean? He saved us. A grenade." I didn't have time to move. He saw it. He jumped over it. No. Yes, he knew, and he did it anyway. Elvira burst into tears, a sound so deep it cut through the entire station. They sat down on a bench, holding each other, crying, hard, longer than ever before. "He was my friend," Hunter whispered. "From high school, he sacrificed his life so that I could come home to you. Then we will live for him, always. We will never forget him." Hunter nodded. The tears continued. They sat there in the rain, a soldier and a woman. In grief, but also in love. A life had ended, but theirs had to go on, thanks to Eric.